A big victory today in the fight for voting rights. A federal judge ordered Ohio's election chief to restore the final 3 days of in-person early voting. Ohio's Republican Secretary of State, John Husted, has been trying to limit voting in his state for years. He's cut early voting on Sundays and weekdays, including souls to the polls on the Sunday before the election. So today's ruling is a big defeat for him and a huge step forward. But there's more work to be done. Already this year, lawmakers in 19 states have introduced bills to scale back voting rights. In North Carolina, protesters are fighting that state's vicious new voter suppression law. The lead plaintiff in the lawsuit is a 93-year-old woman named Rosanell Eaton. The name on her birth certificate doesn't match the name on her driver's license, and it would cost both time and money to fix that under the new law. Eaton faced a literacy test when she first voted 70 years ago. She had crosses burned on her lawn and gunshots fired into her home for helping register African Americans to vote. Today, she's still fighting for her right to vote. Joining me now is Rosanell Eaton. Thank you for being here, Ms. Eaton.
Thank you for having me.
Now, decades after Jim Crow, could you have ever imagined fighting for the right to vote again after all these years?
No, I can't imagine that I've got to go through the same thing that I went through 80 years ago, at least 75. I can't imagine going through that again. But I am going through it, and it's actually worse than it was then.
Why do you say it's worse?
I think it's worse because I know what to expect. Then I didn't know, so it wasn't surprising. But it's a very difficult task. It's a difficult situation now. And we have got accustomed to different varieties and different ways of life. And now it is so horrible to think about going back where we came from when we were marching in Alabama and all over the state.
You know what struck me to my core about your story? You had to be subjected to literacy tests, had deal with cross burning on your front lawn and fire shots through your house, and now you're the lead plaintiff because you were denied the right to vote, and you're a lead plaintiff at 93 years old. You never were afraid, even with the cross burnings and the shotgun blast through your house? I mean, you went through this stuff personally.
No, I wasn't afraid. I always had nerve, and I had ambition, and I had intuition, and I believed we could make it. The Lord would help me through it. I was real young then, and now I'm old. I realized that people maybe didn't understand what we were doing, but now I know they understand. It's just something they want to do anyway to set us back.
The governor of North Carolina and others that have come with these laws that you and others are fighting in the state and around the country, if they're listening tonight, as someone who's given a life to this country and civil rights, what would you like to say to them?
To him?
Yes.
I would like to say that he should reconsider and think about things and think about the Declaration of Independence that states that all men are created equal and that we have the right to be participating and not finding fault about everything and trying to make this a fraud state, because it's not. And I would just like to tell him to realize the fact that we are people and that we are human, and that the Lord enables us to be alive. And my grandfather worked for this company and worked for this country and was sold as a slave And my father was a young guy, but he wasn't old enough to go to be a slave, but he cleared this land, and we should have a right to be free.
You said you've worked at the polls for over 60 years. Have you seen voter fraud, Ms. Eaton?
No, it wasn't any fraud going on, I mean, at all. We were very sincere in what we did. I worked the polls 40 years as an assistant, and I worked it over 25 years as a judge. We sincerely checked the ballots, and everything was going good. It was not fraud. They didn't find any fraud, just a little mixed up on 2 votes all over the state. But they used that as a manner to defraud the voting rights and make it harder so we can't vote and be successful as we were. Because I've been in this election ever since I was very, very young and as a child. And I started it with my intention to carry it through. And that's why I'm out here today fighting for our rights. Because it's not right the way they have treated us and trying to just make a dish out of us.
Rosanell Eaton, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight, and really God's blessings and good luck with your fight against this law.
Thank you so very much, Reverend Sharpton, and may God ever bless you, and let us keep the Lord in front of us, and he will guide us and direct us.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so very much, and look to see you soon.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.